Thanks for having me, man. Good to be here. Wow, a guest on the Framing New Heights. I love it. I do. I do. Yeah. Yeah, it was from a couple of movies. Yeah, it's just some quotes. Yeah. Yeah, I think I quoted The Miracle, and then there was probably some stuff from Hoosiers on there. So, yeah. Right. Yeah, trial times. So I'll give my version of how we met first, and then you can give your version of how it went down. But so so Mike, I don't know if any of you listeners know, on the 29th this year, you're going to be 50, or are you 51? Oh man, so it's 73. All right, 1973. So I grew up about 2 blocks away from the Sheboygan County YMCA. And Michael, at the time that I used to frequent the YMCA, he was summer staff down there for the Youth Development Center. And so as he's working YDC down there, I'm just down there shooting hoops at open gym all the time. And I thought this dude looked cool. He didn't have the long hair back then, but he was still a good looking dude. And not that I'm into dudes at all, but he was playing basketball all the time also. So a high school kid playing basketball. I was in like fifth grade and right up my alley. Um, I learned out some shooting tips from him, and then he'd rebound for me probably for like 3 or 4 shots, and then I would rebound for him for like 30 or 40 shots, and then I'd get 2 more shots, and then he'd take about 30, and yeah, our friendship kind of blossomed from there, and I'm a Sheboygan Christian and Sheboygan Christian high school alum. Mike went to Lutheran High School in Sheboygan, and so they were kind of our rival growing up, and so I would get to as many Christian High games, and every time they played Lutheran High, I was like, I know that guy, I know that guy, and I'd always go up and say hi to him. And but I sat on the bench for the Christian High team. I was like the water boy and threw towels at him and that kind of stuff. But every time they were battling inside, I was always cheering for Mike, and it was great seeing him. And he was a very good basketball player. So we lost touch a little bit because he went on to Concordia High School or Concordia College, Concordia University. Played 4 years of basketball there, and so we lost touch for a little bit, and then he stayed in the big city, and I was in Sheboygan, but we got reconnected during some 3-on-3 tournaments when the Gus Macker came to Sheboygan and the Coho tournament, and I had a team down there. He had a team down there. I was still in grade school or young high school probably, and I because I lived a block or two away from where they hosted the tournaments. I bring my cooler down there and on wheels, and I had water and Gatorades, and Now you're making me feel like Skippy from Francis Creek, but Johnny Biker over there. But that's a story for another time. Um, yeah, it was probably the times before coolers had wheels on them, so I threw threw a wagon and or threw a cooler in a red wagon. Probably stole all the ice out of mom and dad's freezer and went down there. But yeah, that was I did the summarized version. So 3, yeah. I've tried it. I know I've tried looking it up. Guinness doesn't take that as world records. So I don't know if they record that, but I maybe I'll write into them and the next one of the next framing new heights you do, you can let your viewers know that you know someone in the Guinness Book of World Records. So, so after high school, did a year of basketball at Trinity Christian. College wasn't for me. Came home. Um, did did some nursing school. Worked in the nursing field for about a decade. Um, 2012, or 2010, I went back to school. I got my exercise science degree from Lakeland University, and then I started doing environmental work and some safety stuff at Cheese Factory. 2012, I got married, had a daughter. Um, Also found a new job after that. Started doing project management for an environmental laboratory. And then I've kind of been doing that ever since, doing some safety consulting now. And that's where the career is at. 2018, on Halloween actually of 2018, life changed drastically. Um, I had an aortic aneurysm, but I can even rewind prior to that because a year prior to that, I weighed about 400 pounds, and that's when I went on my weight loss journey. And um, the day of my aortic aneurysm, I was down a good 120 pounds from that. I think I was around like 280 or so when I had that aneurysm, but I was I was probably the fittest 280 guy you could ever imagine. I mean, I was running 3 miles a day. I was playing basketball every Tuesday and Friday mornings. I was in a basketball league on Wednesday nights. Numerous different softball leagues as well throughout the summers. But then that 2018, the day before Halloween, so October 30, but at like 10 o'clock at night, I'm playing video games with my stepson, and I start sweating, just profusely sweating. And, we're down in the basement in late October, so it's not like it's even that warm. And I probably had a cutoff t shirt on like this because that's 50% of my wardrobe. And start sweating, and I asked Key, and I'm like, is it hot down here? And he's not really. And whatever. I've probably finished beating him at FIFA, on PlayStation, and I am proud to say I no longer play video games. So, um, but I couldn't stop sweating, and so I went upstairs and took a shower to cool off. And after the shower, I went back downstairs because it was the coolest part in the house. and still sweating, and the pain started. And so, fast forward 20 minutes of that, I'm on all fours because that was the most comfortable. I tried reclining back, I tried laying on my side, I tried just sitting normal, and everything was uncomfortable. And just if anyone that's had like an appendicitis or kidney stones, I've had kidney stones, and that was very early on in dating who is now my ex-wife. I had kidney stones, and I initially thought it was kidney stones because the pain was just in my abdomen, excruciating pain. Even worse than when I had the kidney stones and went to the ER and got the narcotics and got flushed out. But so I'm on all fours and in the basement, and praise the Lord. My father-in-law came down. He saw the basement lights on and must have came down to make sure no one was down there before he turned the lights off, and he saw me down, and I'm just telling him how much pain I'm in, and that this is the most comfortable spot. He probably thought I looked really goofy down there, but so I went to the second floor and described to my wife at the time my pain, but being the stubborn man that I am, I told her I was going to lay down and try to sleep it off, and I had taken some Tylenol at this point, and I laid down for about 10 minutes, and then I told her we had to go to the hospital. And so it's a rainy, just crummy night in October, just about 40 degrees out. And yeah, you were coming to Glen Beulah the next night with Nola, and we were all going to go trick or treating together. Yep. And so we're driving to the hospital. Um, Heather's driving, just shivering, has the heat blasting because she's freezing. I've got my head hanging out the window like a dog because I'm puking because of the pain, but also because I'm still just sweating like nuts. And I still just have a cutoff on. She's in a winter coat and whatever else, and the heat just blasting. And so that was like the longest half-hour car ride of my life. And we get to the ER, and she drops me off, and I'm still walking at this point, and she drops me off, and I walk in, and I told the receptionist that I needed to see a doctor because I felt like I was dying. And here's the kicker: she tells me to have a seat. We'll be right with you. And so I came in just looking miserable, I'm sure, and I'm sweating like crazy, and probably flush white, and told her that I thought I was dying, and she told me to have a seat and that they'd be right with me. So I told her, well, I need the bathroom then because I'm constant vomiting, and I have to use the bathroom as well. So I don't know how long I was in the bathroom. It couldn't have been long at all because I just remember Heather and some big guy opening the door, and that is the last thing I remember, to be honest. For That's the last thing I remember for about a month. Um, but they said that I was completely conscious. I was talking the entire time. I don't remember any of it, but they got me in a wheelchair and back to a bed in the ER at Aurora Memorial in Sheboygan, and then the doctor that saw me, praise God that he didn't waste any time in doing a CT scan. They didn't do blood work, they didn't do an X-ray, nothing like that. They just did a CT scan right away, and he saw that my abdomen was just filling with blood, and that was the pain, that my entire abdominal cavity was filling with blood. There was nowhere else for it to go, and I was having an aneurysm. There was a slit in my aorta, and I was leaking blood out of there. Luckily it wasn't gushing blood, because I would have been dead very soon. But so it was leaking blood out of my aorta, and because they don't have the uh, proper equipment and staff to do something there, they flight for life me down to Freudert, where I had a life saving surgery. I believe it was about 16 hours of surgery, but like I said, I didn't remember anything for about a month, so they kept me in a medically induced coma until about Thanksgiving. So the almost all of November, I was in a comatose state, and going through probably two surgeries a day, where they didn't even close my abdomen up; they just kept it open. And how many people on your podcast like watch this live? Would they care if I showed a big scar down my stomach? But so so I have a scar goes completely down my abdomen, and obviously other surgical scars still from before. But what you didn't see was a belly button, also, because I no longer have a belly button due to all of the surgeries. But over the course of the last 5 years now, from 28 October 2018 to now, 5 years, 5 months, I've had probably about 60 surgeries. So with with the majority of them being that November, there were about 40 surgeries that November, from daily cleanouts and such, to recorrective surgeries. They took out quite a bit of my intestinal tract. I had fasciotomies up and down both legs, two on each calf and then one on each thigh. Those are just basically slits in your skin so that um, the fluid that built up inside of the uh, tissues and stuff would drain out of those incisions. Otherwise, I just had way too much fluid in my body. It was holding all the fluid, because my kidneys weren't working either. I was on 24-hour dialysis. The kidneys had shut down. My liver had shut down. I was basically I was breathing on my own, but more or less it was life support. My heart was pumping. I was breathing on my own, but I was intubated, and so I did have the breathing tube. I have a tracheotomy scar because they had the tube going down there as well. And so for a month, my heart was working on my own, but they had me hooked up to dialysis the entire time, because the kidney shut down, liver shut, a lot of my vital organs shut down with blood loss. I also lost quite a bit of tissue that became necrotic with blood loss. I lost my entire left glute. That's your butt muscle. So I lost my entire left glute due to blood loss. It's called compartment syndrome. Usually it's an extremity that you lose, like your calf muscle or an arm or something, but mine happened to be my left glute and a third of my right glute. So they took all that out. So when I did regain consciousness, I was still on dialysis machines, but slowly getting better. Slowly hoping to get out of the ICU. I was there still until I think the beginning of December. maybe middle of December. But I remember having Christmas in my hospital room when I got to a med surgical floor. I got the breathing tube out. I was off of dialysis, that kind of stuff, and able to do a lot of stuff on my own. But I still had IVs hooked up to me all the time. I was not eating much at all, so I had the total peritoneal nutrition, the IV TPN, it's called. And then they give that to you every night. They administer that. Um, I I went from a healthy 280, and I believe my lowest weight they recorded in the hospital was like 190. Um, a ton of it was water weight. A lot of it was muscle mass. I mean, there was definitely some brown fat, the visceral fat and stuff also that was lost, but a lot of it was muscle atrophy. Intestinal tract. They took out my pancreas. Um, so other different body parts that I lost as well. Not necessarily limbs. I because of all other complications. About a year or so after that, I did lose my great big toe because of some neuropathy. There was some during some of the surgeries and stuff, they hit some nerves, and I got drop foot in my left leg, so I don't really have control of my left foot now. Um, and then because of that neuropathy, I had a cut on my big toe that I never felt. It got infected, and they had to amputate it. Um, so uh, It's in a nutshell. Yeah. And then that was, man, that was after you visiting me multiple times at Freighter as well. That was great. I think our last visit, I was at the rehab unit, and that was a miracle in itself as well, because I wasn't supposed to live. I mean, every day for most of November, there was a doctor that came in, and he was the one doctor that he didn't sugarcoat anything. And my family nicknamed him Doctor Doom and Gloom, because he just didn't sugarcoat it. He told you just how it was, and he basically said, expect death. I don't know how he's still alive. And he came in, probably at the lowest, I think there was like a 6% chance that I would live. And then it slowly got better. But he kept saying, even though the lab values are coming back, he could easily crash overnight and we lose him now. So, but I never crashed. My labs just continued to get better. There wasn't the down spike at all in anything, other than I had a scare of sepsis where my blood got infected, and then they administer the antibiotics. I mean, it's quite painful, and I go through that. But I've gone through sepsis 4 times now. So I say that with the 3 Flight for Lives and the 4 times of being septic, where you have bacteria in your blood, and basically your body's fighting itself. So I've cheated death 7 times, or God has pushed me through all 7 times. But they went from the not dying to then living. But what was my quality of life going to be? It could be that I was wheelchair bound my entire life, because I was never going to walk again. Maybe I could stand with the power of my right leg, but because I lost my left glute and the neuropathy, they never thought I'd walk again. Um, then they saw me getting stronger, and they thought they would do a muscle graft, and they're going to take a muscle from my thigh, and or from my quad, sorry, and make it my glute. And so, but with that is complications. Would it be accepted? And would it work? Would I be able to train it to then be my glute? And then another doctor came up with just detaching one of the quadricep muscles. So it's your vastus lateralis for all you exercise science geeks out there. So my vastus lateralis, they detached from the patellar region, and then they wrapped it around my sciatic and attached it to the sacrum, which is the backside, and that with some neurons and stuff became my new glute. And I worked very hard in rehab to train that muscle, and I was not. It's still tough going up steps just on my left leg. My right leg is back to normal. My left leg, it's still, if I'm not carrying anything and I have a handrail, no problem. But carrying a case of water or something, sometimes I have to just do one step at a time with my right leg. But then that's no problem either. I can load bear as much weight as I want on my right leg. But I'm not doing single leg squats or anything on my left leg still. So that's something I'm building to towards. So I definitely wasn't necessarily living a healthy lifestyle prior to, doing the weight loss journey and losing all that weight. But even then, I was, my nasty habit, and we'll get into this more as well. What Live to Thrive has done for me, but I drank Mountain Dew like it's water, basically, and it is absolutely delicious. It's just terrible for you. Um, so there was a family friend that decided to look into a lot of it, and there could have been complications of all of this from Mountain Dew, but definitely unhealthy lifestyle played a part. Um, After being released from the hospital, so I think my record was walking 75 feet prior to leaving the hospital. I could walk with the assistance of a walker, but I lost my train of thought there. Where were we? Oh, so they did a genetic test, and I have a disease. It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it's a genetic disorder. It can be passed on, hereditary, but it can also just be a misalignment of genes, and that's the kind that I have. I have a misalignment of genes, and we did get my daughter tested. She does not have the disease, thank goodness. So got that going for me. Yeah, so absolutely the weight loss and trying to live a healthy lifestyle prior to the aneurysm played a huge role. I mean, if I would have still been in my same health, I probably wouldn't have made it through. The fact that I was running and my heart was in shape, and and I've always been pretty athletic, even when I was a big dude. But you know, having the cardiac muscles and stuff like that definitely helped. But um, frame of mind as well, because being in the hospital can just be so depressing. And a shout out to my support system. I mean, I have so many friends that gave love, that sent cards, that sent gifts, that came to visit. Yeah, I had a friend there every Saturday. He and his wife were there, Brandon, um, and they were there for hours, hours and hours. And my mother was there for hours, and family friend Cindy, and a guy named Gary that I call second dad. He anytime I needed someone, he was there. I mean, he lived in Sheboygan, and he no problem, and he'd sleep there. He'd go out, he'd sleep in his truck. Um, Anytime I needed him, he was there, he ended up being there probably at least 4 days a week. And I mean, I'm talking, I was in there from Halloween to um, I got out on Valentine's Day. I think it's like 107 days I was in the hospital. And so the those 107 days, I think there were only 2 days that I didn't have a visitor there for over 4 or 5 hours with me. So I mean, huge shout out to my support system. They kept me in a frame of mind that you know I could live. But on top of that, definite religious and faith based background where I I thought right away how when someone told me, you're and this would be more staff than my visitors coming in, but how your luck is bound to change. It can't stay like this. Your luck is going to change. And I I reflected on that, and anytime someone said it after that, I said, "That's I hope not. I am one of the luckiest man alive. I cheated death. I was saved from death a couple times now, and there's bigger things that my creator has planned for me, and so I had a positive outlook the entire hospital stay for the most part. There were definitely some down times, as anyone can imagine, staying in the hospital that long. Um, but without the support system, without the hospital staff, and I had so many doctors and care workers looking over me, but because of my positive attitude, and a smile on my face, like they looked forward to coming into my room. You know, I had developed relationships with the people, the nurses, the CNAs, the doctors, and they genuinely enjoyed coming into my room. Hearing my sense of humor, you know, just seeing them made my day. But all of them always told me how them seeing me, and you know how I can have this positive outlook, and that life is good. you know I had so many staff members tell me how that put life in perspective for them, and that it made their day. And so I mean, that made me even happier. I truly enjoyed that as well. So um, you know I think a lot of it is back to childhood. My mom and dad raising me faith based. Believing in the greater good, believing in a creator. I raised Christian Reformed. I believe there is a heaven, and believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and that I'm saved. But also, I've just always had a positive outlook on life. The glass has always been half full for me. Um, my father suffered through depression, and I lived through that. And he had a couple different times where he tried taking his own life, and there just cries for help at that point where he never succeeded, thank goodness. And it was never really life threatening either. But I saw what it was like to live down in the dumps, and it just wasn't something that I ever wanted. And I've just always tried to be positive and always try to put a smile on other people's faces. And to the point of you and I, when we're together, man, we're just laughing and just like goofy giggling, like little schoolgirls giggling all the time. Dude, what event were we at where I got that guy to buy me a beer? Yeah. Yeah. This is like a this is like a $10 beer. No. Right now, it's great, especially post Live to Thrive. The 12-week course. The mindset is where it needs to be. Like you said too, I recently finalized a divorce, and this started back in the beginning of June, and recently finalized. But today, actually, I celebrate my daughter's 12th birthday. So this past weekend, we had a big birthday party, and that was a blast. Living, yeah. So definitely living for her, and joining the Live to Thrive program. Um, Initially it was to support my girlfriend, and I knew what I wanted out of it right away too. Though, I wanted the mindset change more than the health and fitness goals that a lot of people want out of that. I definitely got that out of it as well, and I went from I think I was around 228 or so when we started, and I'm down at 208 now. So a healthy 20 pounds. But I know probably a month into the program, I shared with you how I was happy where I was at as far as body image, and we kind of changed my program to do more tone muscles and build muscle endurance rather than drop a ton of weight and look leaner and meaner and stuff. Where I like being right around the 210. It suits me well, I feel, and I'm just comfortable and happy there. And I mean that's one of the biggest things too is getting your mindset around that. But man, exercise and fitness has so much to do with mindset and eating healthy. And I love one of the things you always told me how when you eat like shit, you feel like shit. And I mean the Big Mac or Taco Bell might taste delicious at the time, but you definitely feel it the next day. Or the people who make fun of T-Bell for making them visit the bathroom 2 hours later. Well, that's because that stuff isn't meant to be in your body. Yes, it tastes delicious, but it is nothing that your body wants or needs for the nutrients, and that's why it kicks it out so fast and gives you that gut rot that a lot of people call it. Or when people haven't eaten pizza in so long, and then they eat pizza, and they say like it feels like there's bricks in my stomach, and I say, well, it is bricks in your stomach. It's just that pizza dough sitting in your stomach waiting for stomach acids to try and digest it because you're not used to eating like that. Where now so many of the meals and the meal plans and stuff that you got us on, man, they're delicious. I stole a lot of recipes from you, but no, modified, yeah, modified some too, and found a lot. I mean, we absolutely love the I mean, I didn't think I'd find bacon in your meal plan, but or a mac and cheese. But there is a bacon cauliflower mac and cheese, and it's incredible. We love it. It is so delicious. Yeah, I mean, I throw a little cayenne pepper in there because we like it a little kick to it. But yeah, I mean, oh, too many. Going on a live feed with a camo cutoff T-shirt on. uh, yeah, well, I don't look as good as you do with your shirt off. Um, Yet. Okay. I've done a belly flop contest at a campground one time, and I won. But in true John Godbert style, it was prior to my weight loss, and so I'm tipping the scales at 4 hundo. but I'm also the showman that got the crowd involved, so I'm tying a towel around my neck. I got a cape on. I stole somebody's goggles and did a belly flop, and so I just kept moving on and kept moving on. But there's a video out there. The campground had a video, and every single person looks stupid doing a belly flop contest. Ugh. So I let me add to that though, because this is even funnier. So now, not only does my is my stomach just and chest is just redder than red. This is prior to knowing I had that EDS, the Ehlers-Danlos. And so every time I am boom, 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 I am just breaking blood cells in my body because of this disease that I have no clue about. And that campfire later that night, my entire abdomen and chest wasn't red anymore. It was black and blue. I just was a bruise from my neck down to my waist and just couldn't touch me. It hurt. And they're like, "Are you sunburned?" I'm like, "No, I'm not sunburned. I'm bruised." And everyone's just laughing at me because I got this trophy and like a $10 gift card to go get an ice cream or something, but I suffered. Oh, oh boy. All right, this is easy. So I'm taking my ACTs this weekend, and it it was a retake, so I couldn't miss it. And then my family, yeah, they had this trip to Florida planned prior to me scheduling these ACTs. This is the only time I could do them prior to sending all my forms and stuff out to colleges, because before the Live to Thrive program, I was very great at procrastinating and and making priorities not a priority until they absolutely needed to be, until deadline, last minute. So I couldn't go to Florida. So I'm at home watching the two dogs, and then in true fashion of a high school kid, I decided to have some friends over that Friday night, and we partied it up a little bit. And so I'm going to take my ACTs the next day in not great fashion at all, and I got huge gut rot. And the dog prior that night got into the garbage because I left those out. So I'm cleaning up the garbage before I had to leave in the morning to go to take this ACT exam. So I get there, I'm taking this test, and my stomach just starts rumbling. And I raise my hand. The lady comes over to me, like, this is the middle of the math exam or something, and I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom so bad. It's like, you can't leave testing during the test. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. I've got to go to the bathroom. Whatever. I'll try and hold it. And 5 minutes later, I raise my hand again, and I'm like, "Ma'am, like, I this isn't gonna work." I and she's like, "I can't let you go." And and I'm trying to tell her, like, I don't have like math problems hidden in the bathroom. Like, I'm not going there to go solve Einstein's equation here. I have to go to the bathroom so bad. And she still says that I can't go. And like I got a squared plus b squared equals c squared in the bathroom or something. And so a couple minutes later, I I let out like this just horrendous, what I thought was maybe going to be silent. No, no, just this horrendous, gaseous amount of flatulence. The people standing next to me just immediately get up and move away. And like I couldn't even point the finger at someone else. Like there was noise coming from me for a good 7 seconds, and and it was like a room clearing fart. It was awful. And so here I am in high school, junior, senior in high school, senior, and 40, 50 of my peers, and obviously there's some cute girls in there, and I let out zero zero game anymore with anyone in there. And like that story spread because we'd go to basketball games after that and be like, "Oh, you're that guy." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm the guy. I'm the guy that farted and cleared an entire ACT room." So, uh, as a senior in high school with a bunch of cute girls in the room, that is horrifying. Not too much. Um, to produce testosterone, adrenaline, and testosterone. Oh, I either want to be invisible or I'd want to fly. How about invisible flight? Invisible flight. No. It's a very tough one. I mean, I got to say something off the wall. I got to say um, rugby. And a lot of it is, I just don't understand it. And I've tried. Like, I can tell you almost every rule in tennis, volleyball, sports that a lot of people just don't watch on a regular basis. I know and have not followed, but watch. Even golf. I'll watch golf from time to time, but I would have had to say something off the wall. Like darts, but darts to me definitely isn't a sport. Honestly, I would love to have that person reach out to me. I want to be open to every single one of your listeners, and that I am newly transformed. 100% transparency. I want to live my life to help others, but knowing my purpose and finding my purpose was 100% what got me to where I was or where I am. Where um, initially it was, I don't want any of my kids to grow up without a father, so I'm going to fight now. And then it was, God got me through fighting. I have a finding a new purpose and finding a new goal to go overcome. And then with faith based, it was living to help others, and finding that purpose, that there's something more for me, that living here and just wallowing in self-pity isn't helping myself or anyone else. It's not putting a smile on my nurses' faces. It's honestly making it uncomfortable and awkward for them even to come into the room. They are trained in a lot of psychological stuff, but they don't necessarily how to deal with patients that are just in self pity and stuff. And you have to find that purpose and what in life that you want to live for. Everyone has to have something that they desire. Even people without kids, maybe they want that new car so badly, but sitting on a couch uh, isn't going to get you that new car. Find something that drives you. And I know one thing that helped me, and well, now with the program too, and the tools that I have in my tool belt, like you always say, is in the hospital. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I was stacking wins. And it can be those small wins from my lab values increased just a little bit, that I'm better now, to a big win where after 60 days of laying in a bed, I stood up almost on my own, to walking those 70 feet before being released. And then building on all that at home, where getting rid of the wheelchair ramp a month and a half, 2 months later, that I could do the steps to get in. And it's just stacking those wins and building each day by day. And we can go into the kicking the Mountain Dew habit now too, if you want. Um, oh yeah, that's good. And yeah, it was living a healthier life, finding that purpose driven lifestyle, and stacking those wins. So it definitely was not an easy thing, but each week we tried going down 4 Mountain Dews at a time, and there were weeks that I didn't hit my goal, or days that I didn't hit my goal, but you keep going, and the next day, you hit that goal, you stack that win, you feel better about yourself. And then working out in mornings, or getting my steps in, it's I look back on the day, and like I hit my fitness goals, and I hit my diet goals. You absolutely feel better about yourself. But the working out in the morning thing is huge too, because once you get that workout in, and you put in the work to feel better, you don't want to do things throughout the day to set yourself back. But now I'm in the mindset of, I don't have to go my entire life without a Mountain Dew again. I'm just gonna go one more day, and yeah, now I kind of, there's cravings throughout the day still, and I would imagine it's the same with people that smoke, or need a beer or something. And I wake up in the morning and one of the first things I did was crack a Mountain Dew. And, it was the gratification of the taste, but the feeling of it going down. I always said how that was my coffee. And so I justified drinking it in the morning. But then it always tastes better after you eat something. So I get those small cravings also. And if I get a snack later at night when I'm relaxing or something. So, but now I look back on my day and you stack that win and you say how. So I don't even have it in the house anymore, and I've had other small wins that I've stacked. That birthday party that we had for Olivia, they had Mountain Dew there, and I may have had a sip, and that was it. And I put it down, and like I don't need it. Zero. Yeah, the last four days now is zero, with the exception of a sip on Saturday. Uh, all I can think of right now is Rocky. That dun, 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 dun. I can't think of the name of the song, but is it like Triumph or something? Uh, and then I just see Apollo Creed and Rocky running on the beach right now. You being Apollo Creed, me being Rocky, obviously, and me beating you in the race on the beach, and then we frolic into the water and hug each other and stuff. Which, yeah, that's probably our relationship, to be honest. Uh, it could be. Yo, Adrian, stay flexed. Yeah, that was just the Rocky one. Yeah, you can do all of the above. Facebook is just John Godbert. Um, I am happily like the only John Godbert in America. It's a British name, and my dad came over with the name, so I haven't seen another Godbert. It's John. Email, same thing, John period Godbert, Godbert. And then that's just at Gmail. Uh, I believe my Snapchat is at John underscore Godbert 22. Um, I had to start doing 22 because there was this guy named Mike Hicks that started playing softball with us, and he would not give up number 21, even though I am number I am number 21. But being the coach and GM, I decided to give up my number to give it to you. So I 22. Yep. So the John underscore 22, and I believe that's my Instagram and my Snap. So definitely Messenger or email is easier, or Snap. Those are probably the three platforms I check the most. I am not on IG as much. Stay flex.